Oh man, guys, I can't believe it. Here we are again for a second time this year, and we have a brand new Marvel movie hitting the theaters. And aren't you excited? Because I heard about this one like a couple of years ago. Did you get your early tickets for Avengers: The Kang Dynasty? Because it was supposed to come out April 30th, right? Like this weekend, you're supposed to be. Right. Right. You got the Thunderbolts instead. And how's that going to be doing? Well, it's going to be fantastic, right? Because the Thunderbolts, box office bomb incoming, tracking as bad as the Eternals, and I'm sure we're going to be hearing more about that, and I'll do a numbers wrap up on it on the weekend, and boy, some of the early reactions that I have heard about this, and I was looking at ticket sales in even my neck of the woods, and bro, this is gonna be bad. Because movies like this, right, like we're hearing certain things, just a bit of an aside, like superhero fatigue. Oh, people are just done with Marvel. Okay, when was the last time that they had a good movie? Okay, not a successful one. Okay, like I'll tackle that subject after we're done discussing when was the last time they had a quality movie. No Way Home. Maybe if you could just look on the other side, like that was a passable. Okay, maybe that was a passable script. Okay, they did stuff and they had characters in that. Okay, Willem Dafoe ate all of the scenery. They actually paid respect to the Spider-Man of the past, and they really set up Tom Holland to do something interesting for a film that is probably going to end up bungling the one surefire hit that the MCU has post Doomsday. But yeah, okay, maybe that's that one script, but an out-and-out great movie, probably Infinity War, is the one that everybody can agree upon. That was a great film, okay? And when was that? All right, 2018. So we don't really know for sure if it's superhero fatigue, or if people have just started to realize that, holy Christ, the MCU just craps out shit script after shit script. What the hell am I wasting? Okay, $40-$50 if you want to bring somebody along with you. You get a few snacks up there at the concession, and you're also wasting like opportunity cost 3-4 hours of your day driving there, driving back, knowing that you're not going to be entertained. You're not going to remember this at 10 seconds after you leave the theater. So yeah, that's what you have in people's minds. So we don't know for sure if it's superhero fatigue or if it's just people know that this shit is gonna suck. And even when you hear reviews out there, they're telling you that it's not worth your time. Maybe Marvel should try this one revolutionary thing, making a good fucking movie. We can go ahead and try that. But of course, they're not going to get around to that. They're going to go ahead and bank on the formula that was successful for Spider-Man No Way Home, and then also successful, yes, for Deadpool and Wolverine. More keys to jangle. Ooh, Avengers Doomsday, everybody's going to be in it. Don't mind that, Fantastic Four, very, very, very early projections looked like that one's going to suck. Big shock on that one, given the fact that they essentially spoil what happens in one of the end credit scenes for the Thunderbolts. I won't spoil it today. Maybe I'll allude to it tomorrow, because I don't want to, if anybody's actually interested at this point in time, you can go and find the leaks. Okay, you can see the scene if you're so inclined, or you can just get it from somebody else. But yeah, I kind of know what happens, and guess what? It was exactly what I said in one of the previous Fantastic Four videos. So once again, hey man, Don's bang on. But I look forward to more in-depth breakdowns of the Thunderbolts moving forward, because this should, theoretically, right? Because internally, Marvel thought that they really had, had this a diamond in the rough in the form of the Thunderbolts. This was the one that, Captain America 4, it was a total mess, right? Like, it was just a bunch of different projects all, taped together, and they just hoped it would produce something, and spoiler, it didn't. But they really thought that they had something here with Thunderbolts. But this was supposed to be kind of that whole team up. Hey, take a look at everybody that we introduced, sans Bucky and Ghost. Everybody remember Ghost? Exactly. Of course you don't. Hey, man, this is really paying homage to phases 4 and maybe 5, but I think 4, everybody was introduced, in that one. Ostensibly, the Thunderbolts is a sequel to Black Widow and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because you take a look at the lineup of the Thunderbolts, which I incorrectly said in a previous video that, okay, cool, they're getting a new name. They're the new Avengers with a Z, because that's edgy and funny, and David Harbour is such a laugh factory. Fuck right off, you fat commie. No, I'm not just talking about his character, I'm talking about the individual himself. No, instead of just having them riff on, it's like, okay, okay, we're the Thunderbolts, maybe early in his administration, because back in Cap 4, nobody remembers this, but they'll just go ahead and, call back to one of the plot points from that movie. But President Ross wants to go ahead and he wants to start up the Avengers once again, which is kind of interesting in and of itself. But you would think, okay, him going to Captain America, and use quotations liberally, maybe this is his last ditch effort, because he tried to assemble a previous team and it didn't really end up working all that well for him. And that's what you could have done, to insinuate that the MCU is actually a lively place where events are going on in the background, even if we're not focusing in on them. That, yeah, he created this team. He had U.S. Agent, he had the White Wolf, he had, Bucky when he was not running for Congress. He was out there doing missions. White Widow, Little Florence, pew, all of them, had all of them get together, and they were running ops, but they weren't really, they weren't really up to snuff. So because they didn't want to, they no longer wanted to be associated with the president who just got locked up. Very heavy-handed allegory that you have there in your stupid Captain America film. But okay, cool. Your team name is now from a disgraced president. You don't want to do that, and then you just want to get a new name, hence the asterisk that's there. We're going to be the new Avengers. That would have been fun. That would have been interesting. But no. They were just called the Thunderbolts because Yelena was on a soccer team called the Thunderbolts. Because that's funny, guys, because we should take all of this stuff brutally seriously, right? Because that this is a movie, okay? This is a movie that confidently addresses mental health, and this is a serious film with some edgy stuff, so edgy that your take on mental health. I'm really sad and lonely, according to Bob Century. I'm really sad and lonely to Yelena. A bad Good Will Hunting ending. Yeah, let's be the new Avengers. Yeah, exactly. That's the Thunderbolts for you. Really adult subject material, very thoughtfully addressed, right? But nobody's going to care about the Thunderbolts, and it's so wild, right? Because the biggest Marvel news coming out on the weekend of a big, at one point in time, what would have been a big Marvel release, is one of your seminal Avengers, one of your seminal founding members of the Avengers team, shitting on Disney. I love Jeremy Renner, man. Like, I've really liked this guy for a long time, and I wish he would be. He's right there with like the Henry Cavills, and he's one of those guys from like the late 2000s, early 2010s, a part of that class of guys that, I think Hollywood was positioning for bigger and better things, and for whatever reason, they didn't really end up taking off. Sam Worthington was the guy who was pushed super hard. Now he's just the voice actor for one of the big Smurfs. For Jim Cameron over there, he gets a massive paycheck every couple of years, but nobody remembers his performance at all whatsoever. And Tom Hardy, who's having more recent success, another guy that, I wish had a bigger career than he did. But honestly, like Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, I mean, I think everybody can get on the same page by saying that, for as much of a wasted potential movie that Black Widow was, I mean, what we had on the table right there, really delving into the whole Budapest plot, it being Black Widow and Hawkeye going through and doing that plan back in the cut. Like, we already know Black Widow's dead, spoiler, so you go ahead and put that as your first film in phase 4, just really setting the tone that, yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to play on nostalgia and do unspeakable things to the corpses of the characters that you love and recognize. I guess it was a little bit more prescient than we gave it credit for at the time. But no, if it was simply a Hawkeye and Black Widow movie, that would have been fantastic. But no, you got exactly what you wanted. Disney, Marvel, we're talking about here. You got the opportunity to set up little Florence Pugh to take over for Scarlett Johansson. And it's funny, right? Because now your original Black Widow is going to be a part of a movie that is going to thoroughly and completely overshadow your biggest release of the year. Interesting turn of events. But in regards to Hawkeye, Clint Barton, Ronan, whatever the hell you want to call him, however he's been portrayed in the MCU, Jeremy Renner turned down Hawkeye Season 2. Interesting, because it kind of like was the first MCU series that kind of befell the fate of things like Daredevil, Born Again. It was one of those series that nobody watched at all whatsoever. Like, at the time, few people were covering it, and a lot of people now come back around and went, yeah, I caught Hawkeye. It's just as shit as everything else that the MCU has been turning out, so nobody really missed much. It's outside from, yeah, Kate Bishop was fine. Yeah, she was one of those girl boss replacements that wasn't really all that girl boss, kind of paid respect to Hawkeye, and is actually an upgrade from the source material in the comics. So it's like, okay, cool, I guess. But you still have Jeremy Renner, who's relatively young, and at that point in time when the series was coming out, able-bodied enough to do the role. So why don't you want to do something when you're just lacking original Avengers? Why don't you want to do something with him? No? Oh, okay, cool. But then, of course, what was that, at the beginning of 2023 when he had that horrific snowplow accident that he went into great detail, I think, on Joe Rogan? I gotta catch that episode because it goes into a lot of detail about a bunch of stuff that I care about, and especially, doctors pushing a bunch of pills and how he had a rough time with that. So he also touched on, his future as Hawkeye, and well, when Marvel did that cringe-ass chair stream, they announced the return of one Avenger that kind of had an uncertain future. Well, they kicked off the live stream with Chris Hemsworth that was there, but Jeremy's name was not on any of those chairs, which I personally found a little bit disappointing. It's like, oh man, could at least had one connection. Okay, you could have had somebody that would have been a full through line on that one, especially like he just had a series and all that stuff. But apparently, yeah, because there were also other chairs that were filmed as well, and also there's been teases of another chair stream because Marvel will never learn and properly course correct. But yeah, names like Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, Owen Wilson, and a couple of others were also filmed but not used during the cringe stream. But not Jeremy Renner at all. And this very much sheds some light on that because, yes, he turned down Hawkeye Season 2 and because he was offered half his Season 1 salary, which is kind of wild, but also when you put it in full context of these Disney Plus series being watched by absolutely nobody, is that also kind of an admission that, yeah, okay, we'd love for you to hang around. We know that, one of the founding Avengers, but these series really don't pay the bills. So if you could take a haircut to be a part of this thing, we'd really appreciate it. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Did you think I'm only half the Jeremy because I got ran over? I mean, maybe. Jeremy Renner is speaking out about why there's no second season of Hawkeye yet. In a new interview with High Performance, Renner, who plays Clint Barton, says he was offered half of his salary from the first season of the Disney Plus series. They asked me to do season 2, and then they offered me half the money. I'm like, well, I'm going to take, it's going to take me twice the amount of work for half the amount of money, and 8 months of my time essentially to do it for half the amount. Yeah, and that's absolutely silly. But here's the thing, man, especially, and then just to harken back to Daredevil, Born Again. How for a bunch of those action scenes, it was just basically, CGI goop, rubbery Daredevil, so he doesn't really need to do a bunch of those action scenes. So if Disney and Marvel were really worried about Jeremy not being able to perform some of those more physical feats, we know exactly what they do. So that's why I kind of think that this is more about kind of a soft admission, and I don't think even Renner's reading that deep into this, that, these D Plus series, they just ain't it. Because it's funny because there's a couple of announced series that are out there, but nobody's really announced anything moving forward, because you got Ironheart that's apparently coming out towards the end of June 23rd or 24th. I thought I heard a soft release date for that one. We don't even know the model that they're going to be releasing that. Is it going to be in blocks? Is it going to be a dump release? Is it going to be weekly? Hey, it's coming out at the end of June because, we've had it filmed since I think 2022, but I digress on that one. Then you got Wonder Man, which, oopsie daisy, somebody got killed in the production of that one. And because we have big plans for Wonder Man, okay, that one's got to come out. Don't know the release date on that one. And then they also have the rumored Vision show, which I don't even know if they've rolled film on that one, but yeah. Oh, right, that was another one of the names that was filmed as well for the chair stream. Chris Pratt and I think Paul Bettany, but at least Chris Pratt as well, because they got the whole Vision Quest or Vision show, because he had that leaked Doomsday concept art that also had Star-Lord and a couple of those different frames where he was sitting around a table with the cringe young Avengers, because you're gonna have the new Avengers, the Dark Avengers, the old X-Men, and the young Doomsday is gonna be such a mess, but more on that tomorrow. But the future of Marvel series, think of how many that we've had, and I couldn't even, I've probably heard bits and pieces about a bunch of them, but could I list all of them? Not chronologically, but I could probably list most of them, and I think we've got double-digit series at this point in time. And how many of them still linger in the zeitgeist? How many people go back and fire up the first season of Loki? Okay, how many people outside of, to just get clips, go back and earnestly watch She-Hulk? How about Moon Knight? You remember Secret Invasion? Yeah, exactly. All of these things that cost hundreds of millions of dollars. Secret Invasion costing $212 million. It's not worth it, man. Okay. So for Renner, well, which I would imagine, right? Maybe internal metrics, because the only Marvel series to get a second season involved another legacy character in Tom Hiddleston's Loki. I could see them wanting to go forward with another legacy character in Hawkeye. So I kind of have to wonder if Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson were asked to take a cut, and if a Short Round ended up getting shortchanged on his pay, just because, hey, you could be part of the MCU, it's going to be steady work moving forward. That would be the selling point for undercutting your actors. But Renner's like, yeah, I'm sorry, why do you think I'm only half the Jeremy? Because I got ran over? Maybe that's why you want me to pay me half of what I made in the first season. Renner was hospitalized, yes, for blunt chest trauma and orthopedic injuries on January 1st, 2023. Okay, yeah, I was at the beginning of 2023. God, man, that was so sad because things were looking exceptionally bleak, but thankfully, it looks like he made like a full recovery. Okay, yeah, he got trapped under a snowcat, ran him over. The actor is trying to help his nephew out of the snow near his home in Lake Tahoe when the snowcat crushed him. The injuries included 8 broken ribs in 14 places. Fuck. A broken right knee and ankle, a broken left tibia and ankle, a broken right clavicle and shoulder. Holy fuck. Yo, he got really screwed up. I didn't realize the extent of the injuries, but man, that's crazy. This is not Marvel, mind you. This is like just Disney. Not even really Disney. It's the penny pinchers, the accountants. I told them to fly a kite. I mean, just at the the insult offer. So we didn't see eye to eye on it. Renner continued, adding that he's not ruling out a return to Hawkeye in the future. Sadly, I still love the character. I'd still love to do it, but I had to defend myself. I didn't ask for any more money, mind you. Just pay me what I made for the first season. So it's all disheartening that it didn't happen, but that's fine. I'm happy to let that go because my body's probably thanking me time and time again. And I'm not doing it right now, but we'll see. The first season of Hawkeye, which also starred Haley Steinfeld, Kate Bishop, and little Florence Pugh, which is why it's interesting that Jeremy Renner once again getting all of the highlights, justifiably so, because that's a movie star, and Florence Pugh and her goofy little movie is going to be forgotten by the end of the weekend. Sucks to suck, I guess. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.